Greetings and welcome. My name is Jake Rayson. I'm a forest gardener and a forest garden designer. And this is a yet another lockdown and this is now a forest garden lockdown live stream, which is how it first started. So I've been live streaming every Wednesday at 10 o'clock British Summer Time or Greenwich Mean Time, depending upon where the clocks fall. I've been live streaming every Wednesday since the initial lockdown, so that's since March. That's like 9 months every single week. It's my partner's birthday today, so I'm not really going to be around. There is a Zoom meeting afterwards. Let me just grab the username and password. So you are welcome to come along to the Zoom meeting, but I might have to bail early. I haven't really been promoting this. Hi Pam. So this is I'll paste it into the chat for Twitch, and the password is mapping. Okay, so yeah, so I'm probably not going to be around a great deal later on. Today I wanted to go through. Hold on, can I do this? Nope, can't do that. Today I wanted to go through online mapping, which really is using a tool to create a forest garden map, a plan, which isn't CAD basically, so you have the different options. If you go to I have an online forest garden course called The Backyard Forest over on Udemy. So it's udemy.com, The Backyard Forest. Excuse me. And I have a whole section on there about creating a map. There's also a free course available as well, which I'll paste in the chat, so you can create your own plan. This really is about creating a paper plan and a CAD plan. I don't talk about the online mapping tools for a fairly good reason, as you'll find out in a second. Let me just paste. This is my course. I'll paste that into the Twitch chat. My course and free planning course as well. So I'll pop that into the chat. So if you want to check them out, you can go to the chat and see them. Plan a backyard forest. That's the freebie one. Okay, so that'll give you information on how to create a CAD plan and how to create a paper plan. And then what I'm also doing with the live stream, I am making additional videos which go along with the course. So they will be I have a whole list of stuff that I want to do, practical walkthroughs. So I'll be adding these bit by bit. They're only like 5-minute, 10-minute course, 5-minute videos, and I'll be adding them to the main course over on Udemy, but also uploading these little walkthroughs onto YouTube as well. I've been a bit slack. I've got quite a lot to do. You can see here forestgarden.wales/walkthroughs. That's where you can find the list, and you can see which ones I've already done. So I've got quite a lot to do, so that'll keep me busy over the next lockdown for the next 5 years, which is what we're actually headed for at the moment. I really wish I'm just going to move slightly away from forest gardening, but I really wish that the UK government would move to a policy of containment, where you have a decent test, track and trace, isolate, support, quarantine, and really come down hard on any cases at all. On with the show. Now, when I normally create an online a CAD map, what I do, I have one ready here for you. Let me see. I'll just shut other ones down. Oh, it's going to be a little bit slow. I have an old computer. Hide others. Oh, anyway. I use a satellite image, a screenshot of a satellite image from Google Maps or Bing Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, whatever's the best resolution image that I can get. And then I will resize that image and use import it into CAD as the base layer. So you can see here, I have it as my base layer satellite right at the bottom. and then I draw my CAD plans on top. This is a CAD plan of the eco home development that I'm working on at the moment. The actual plans are from the developer, so I didn't do all the houses, I just did the trees. And the idea then is that the simplest thing really is, once you have the image in, I'll come over to my nuttery, you put a circle in and the circle is the tree that you're planting. And the most important thing to get on the plan is the location of the trees, and make sure they're not casting too much shade. So generally you have the taller trees at the back, so they're not casting shade over the rest of the garden, and the more to the north border and the east border, generally you've got windbreaks in, which are not too high and not too low. They're the kind of just the right height. And you're maximizing the amount of sunlight that you have coming through under the canopy layer to the plants underneath. If you cram your trees in too close together, there will be too much shade and you won't get anything underneath. You won't have any edible shrubs or perennial vegetables underneath. So you need to make sure you have a space between. And the space is a quarter to a half of the average canopy diameter. That's the spacing that you want. So you've got 2 4-meter trees. You want a gap of between 1 and 2 meters between the trees. That's just as an example. So that is the critical thing. Everything else in the garden, when I say everything else in the garden isn't so important, but it isn't so important in terms of the plan. So this is the whole reason for doing a plan, is that it is easy to go, these are the trees, this is where I can put them, and this is the spacing between them. And a plan enables you to do that quickly. It enables you to kind of figure out where the best place is for the trees. So it's also good for putting on paths and dividing up areas, but that's more complicated. I very often will just use it, as in this example here, satellite image, put the trees on, roughly figure out where the trees are going, and then go out and plant them, measure them up and plant them out in the field. So that is the kind of simplest use case for a CAD plan. Now you can use online mapping tools. So I'll show you. For doing the CAD plans, I use some open source software called QCAD, and there's a paid for version which is about £40, I think it is, and it is worth it. If you're ever going to do, it's worth learning CAD if you're going to do more than one thing with it. There's no point having you just got one garden, you're not going to do any other gardens, and you might as well do a paper plan or an online map. So if you are going to do more than one garden and it's something you're interested in or you have the skills for, then I'd totally recommend buying the book from the QCAD, getting the professional version, which is 40 quid, and learn it. But it is a steep learning curve. I will be making a course about it as well for forest garden designers, people who want to be forest garden designers. An alternative to doing a paper plan is to use an online mapping tool. And oops, what are you doing? Oh no. So this is Scribble Maps. Oops, ignore. And Scribble Maps is a online mapping tool that a permaculture person was talking about, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to have a look at it. So the big downside to using Scribble Maps, I've created a new one here. So this is our land here. This, I don't know if you can see that. That's the nuttery area. So that's the same as that. The big problem with using on Scribble Maps is that the definition isn't very good, that you can't zoom in. It's as far as you can zoom in, so it's a bit of a pain. So there's some very basic tools as well, which are fine. Drawing a circle, we got all the trees are circles, and yeah, you can draw a border as well, and create shapes. I'll just do it and show you. But so you can see that this is actually where I've put some dead hedges. and circumference, and you've got an idea of how big the trees are, and you can put the trees on like this. Now the lovely thing about doing an online map, as in online anything, so I'm just drawing circles where the trees are going, is that you can share the map really, really easily, and that's actually quite a big bonus. Very often I'll have to, if I'm in CAD, I'll have to create a PDF and then save it up, post it online, whereas from scribblemaps.com you can save it out, but you can also share the map straight out onto Facebook. So it's actually, you know, it's a nice thing to be able to do. It's a nice quick interface for sharing a map with other people, and other people can log on. I'm sure if you buy the professional version, and other people can log on, and you can have multiple people editing the same map. So it's kind of, yeah, it's good, but it's it's a bit limited. Now what I think it is good for is that where I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really, this is as much as I've used it. Oops, blimey, didn't mean to do that. Labels. Oh, thanks. You can have different overlays. No, oh good lord, Google. There we go. Now the nice thing about it is saying you can share it, but the downside is that there's not enough detail, and you want to be able to zoom in. I want to put in smaller bushes, or I just want to kind of fine tune things and edit things, and it's a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of a pain not being able to do it. So I have children running around outside. Select a tool, and there. So yeah, it's not, you know, it's a bit of a blunt instrument, but it might be good enough for if you have a field that you want, and you just got some big trees in it, or it's a large area of land that you can say, okay, we can put all the trees down and mark the trees up. There is a labeling system as well, so you can add labels to it. So you can say, I don't know, sweet chestnut, numbo, or just, so you can shrink on zoom. You can add labels to plants as well, but you can see it start to get a bit, it'll get a bit crammed a bit quick. So I think it will be a good thing to use if you have a large field or a large piece of land and you want to put trees on, and then you can, you know, you can very roughly put together different different trees in that area. But I wouldn't really use it for anything kind of detail. I tried to use it for I'll show you this example here. This is the same as the eco home that I'm working on. So on the eco home, come on, there we go. If I zoom in, you know, I've got hedging, I've got the pear. Oh, sorry, the computer is a bit slow. If I can zoom in, I've got the size, I've got the ground cover, I've got hedging in there. There's a lot more detail, a lot more control that you can put in. Whereas with with Scribble Maps, you can't zoom in that much. If you look over here on Scribble Maps, it's like this is the maximum that you can zoom in. So it really doesn't lend itself to kind of close detailed work. I mean, it's kind of good enough in a way. You can, you know, this is where I'm putting the trees at the back of the houses. So it's kind of good to say, oh, okay, well, there's an apple there, and there you can put the variety on, and then you can actually click it as well. Ooh, has it got a link? Open link. So you should be able to click it, and it will open up a link. So it does have some use if you've got a large field, and you can put links onto objects, and it will open up the open up the link in another page. So it's possible to use it. I haven't looked at the professional version of this, so I'm not terribly sure how if there are any kind of features that you get on the professional version which will enable you to kind of have more control over it. I'm guessing there is, but I don't really want to go down that route because I'm quite happy doing my CAD stuff, doing my CAD plans. So and then a couple of other things that I wanted to point out as well. I have been working on a spreadsheet for Plants for Future, and Martin Crawford, excuse me. So I'm sure I've talked about this quite a lot. So Martin Crawford's his book, Creating a Forest Garden. There's about 460 species, roughly 450, something like that, species of plant in there. And I thought, but there's a chap called Ollie Boone, who's a permaculture designer, and he said, would it be great to have a list all the plants using the Plants for Future? So this is what we did. I mean, it's kind of finished now. It's finished, so you can actually look up. It's a sortable spreadsheet, so you can look up different plants. And there's a link for the common name. There's a link to the actual plant itself on Plants for Future, and there's also, which is very exciting, there is a link to the Forest Garden Gallery. So here we go. Click on the link for the nectarine, and Pam has put together the gallery for nectarine, and then you've got how the actual what the plant looks like, and it's great. It's really, really good. So that all that information will be in one place on the spreadsheet. And then the other thing that I've done as well is to create a for the plans here for the trees on CAD. There's also the abbreviations, so that you've got a shrub, every single shrub and every single tree. You can copy and paste it from a master file and then copy and paste that into CAD. So if you are kind of serious about learning forest garden design for doing multiple gardens, this is actually a very, very handy resource it's a very handy resource to be able to use, because you can sort the plants and work out what plant you want for what position, what function it has, the size of it, the fruit, the conditions that it likes, and then you can see what the plant looks like on the Forest Garden Gallery, and you can then copy and paste how big it is from the file. So it's just like it's a kind of joined up system for people who are interested in creating a CAD, people who are interested in choosing forest garden plants, seeing what they look like, and then making a plan out of it as well. And this really is why there's an awful lot more flexibility with using CAD, because you can do all these things. You can kind of customize it and add things. So it's really, really nice that the excuse me. It's really nice that you limit by limiting it to 400 odd plants. It's not like the thousands and tens of thousands of plants that are on Plants for a Future. It's kind of limited to the numbers that are in here. That makes it a kind of manageable amount as well. So that's really, really, I'm really, really happy about that. It's coming on. It's a long, slow process, as I'm sure Pam and Lynn and myself will attest. But researching the different photographs and then putting them together and then uploading them to gallery. But it's a great resource, because it's all structured in the same way as it is in the book. So if you've got the Martin Crawford's book, then you can go to the gallery and look it up, or you can go to the spreadsheet and look it up, and you can go to the CAD file and look it up as well. So there's all this information which is all kind of coming together. So do spread the word. I haven't got official permission. I've emailed them twice now at Plants for Future, and haven't heard back at all about sharing it. So I can't officially share it, but it's there doing its thing. And if you want to help out, give me a shout as well. Cool. Right then, what else was I going to show you? Oh, blimey, I haven't run out of things to talk about, have I? I'll just check the chat. No, a few people on the chat as well. So I will now discuss, my goodness me, I'm at a loss for things to talk about. Oh yeah, no. I've got something else I want to talk about as well, and this is all, it's kind of related. It's the planning side. What I am very interested in, and there's a new member of the Forest Garden. We've got a WhatsApp group for the people who join on the course. There's a WhatsApp group, and Ruth, this has been really interesting. She's kind of put together some polycultures, and as part of this website, the main focus at the moment is to get all the plants, all the individual Forest Garden plants, but there's also plants by function. Oh, it must be, is it plants by function? Polycultures. Oh, there we go. Yeah, polycultures. And she's put together some different polycultures, which is brilliant, which is really, really nice. And there's Chris's garden here, and I'm sure that's Pam's garden, or was that Lynn's? Can't remember. And it's it's a really nice thing. And what I am interested in, so this is ground ivy, sedum. I don't know where the sedum is. No. Oh, it's over there. There's the sedum. Speedwell, sunberry, and Veronica, which is a speedwell. Oh, that is speedwell. Oh, I think the names have been a bit duplicated. Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake. So ground ivy, sedum, and speedwell. And they're 3 native plants, and I think this is really, really interesting, using native plants as ground cover. There's an ecologist, insect man and wildlife advocate, Doug Tallamy, and he says 2/3 for the birds. So in any garden you have 2/3 native species, that you, in your 2/3 by biomass in your garden, should be native species to provide food, a food source for invertebrates and for all wildlife in your garden, but really critically for insects. And then 1/3 non-native species. And in a forest garden, this kind of, I think there's an awful lot of overlap between growing edible crops with nature and also the nature side of it, growing native plants as well. And it's in windbreaks and the ground cover plants and the system plants. This is where you can use native plants. I mean, there's an awful lot of non-native plants. Obviously, you've got pears and apples and nectarines and kiwi fruit and all sorts of things which are not native. But in terms of biomass, you can have a lot of native plants as a ground cover, as in this example here. And for windbreak hedging, so you'd have, I don't know, in the UK you would have what's it called, Gelder rose and sea buckthorn and crikey, loads and loads of them. Lots of different examples that you can use, which will be UK native. So they're doing more than one thing. So that's a really, really good thing that to look at, is the use of UK native plants where in a forest garden. Yes, and then the other one is system plants. So like nitrogen fixers, you can use things in the UK. Can use Scotch broom, gorse if you have to. Sea buckthorn again. So there's system plants that you can use which are native, and likewise there are comfreys which are native. Some Phytum tuberosum, I think it is, which be nice to get hold of. There's a narrow-leaved lungwort, which is a UK native down in the south down near Southampton. But there are specific UK native ground cover plants as well. So really, really good idea to be able to research that. So as part of that, what I'm doing is to create wildflower gallery, which is good. Oh, I've been automatic logged out, but this is very much a work in progress. And it's the same principle, the same idea behind. There we go. The same idea behind the wildflower gallery as is behind the forest garden gallery. There'll be about 400 species. There's a few places in the UK that do native plants, and I'm going to put them together. They're used for ornamental purposes, but equally for kind of functional purposes in the garden as well, so as ground cover and as system plants and for windbreaks and the like. So same kind of thing as a forest garden gallery, but opening up more for ornamental gardens. And hopefully there's a couple of people I'm interested in working with, trying to get this together. So hopefully this will bring together forest gardening and ornamental gardening and wildlife gardening. So they're not separate things anymore. They have become one thing. And I think this is really, really important, that forest gardening is not seen as something niche, and is not seen as something, oh, it's only the thing that you do if you're a bit, you're just interested in growing your own food or anything like that. It's not. It becomes the way of gardening, because you're combining the ornamental aspects, the edible aspects, and the wildlife aspects in one type of gardening. And it's much more about the principles as well than it is about a specific style. So I think to be able to use these plants as in a way that you can demonstrate to people that are different things there are different ways of using these plants, then that is fantastic. And this is kind of part of that process. You can use this plant, and it's an ornamental plant, but it's also providing food source for wildlife, and it might be doing other things as well in the garden. So this is another project. So if you are interested in, well, I'll blog about this a bit. I will keep this one going. But that's the Wildflower Gallery, as well as the Forest Garden Gallery. But Forest Garden Gallery is coming on better. Okay. Oh, it's Lynn's. That's the polyculture. Is Lynn's garden, apparently. There we go. So, hope that's useful. Yeah. I will be making. I'll put this. I haven't put my videos up online on YouTube for a while, but I will put this video up on YouTube too, and I will be doing just using the setup. I will be doing a little kind of walkthrough video about online mapping. So not massively exciting, I don't think, or massively particularly useful, but that it's there and you might have a use for it. So hopefully that's of some use to somebody who went, oh, okay, I can see the purpose of using that. I'll swap over to the Zoom chat now. So any questions, do fire them away in the chat. I'll say thank you for watching and wave like that, and then I'll wrap it up.